Thank you so much for having me. I'm really excited about this. So it is a workshop, so you won't be sitting and just listening to me talk at you the whole time. So you'll be up and about and all of those sorts of things. But also I will share some theoretical background and things like that for you as well. So just so I get a bit of an idea about who's in the room, I have spoken to some of you already. So we've got some master's students, some doctoral students. I didn't get to see what you're doing. So can you just tell me a bit about your background?
Our program is Master of Education Art.
So same. So, okay. And is that a research program or coursework?
Coursework.
Okay. And do you do a little thesis at the end of it, or is it just so that you can teach at the end? So you become teachers at the end. Okay, that's great. And I think it's important to know your audience when you're doing arts-based research methods, because it has very different purposes, which I'll talk about today. But first, what we usually do in Australia is acknowledge the country that we're on, because in Australia, of course, we have First Nations people, Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people. And as a colleague, I will always do an acknowledgement of country. I can't do a welcome to country. That's only for people who are First Nations and from the particular geographical location that we're on. So what I thought I'd do is share this image. Do you recognise any of the symbols in it? Being art students. Hi, how are you? You can just yell it out. Well, this one, what do you think? Turtle is pretty obvious, isn't it? So the turtle. Anything else? The heart beating, good, with the hands underneath. So we've got the handprints. Do you notice anything else? Is anybody else? Pregnant woman, yes. Okay. What about these? Eyes. Oh, interesting. So in Indigenous Australian culture, these often refer to campsites or waterholes. So it's all about the country that they're from. That's really important. So you'll see it's by an Indigenous artist, Elaine Chambers Hegarty, and called Better Together. And it's from the country I'm located on in Brisbane, Queensland, and it's called Quandamooka country. And Quandamooka takes into account some of our islands off the coast, including Minjerribah, or what we was called Stradbroke Island. And you can see that these lines all the way through connect community and culture, and can often represent water. So water is a really important part of First Nations culture as well. This symbol here refers to a woman. So you've got women sitting around a community campfire or a water hole, and men, I'm not sure if there's any men on this one. So they're often represented as just like a straight line, which is a bit more phallic-like. So these creatures here are called dugong, and people from Quandamooka country will eat dugong unless it's their totem. So if you have a totem, you don't eat that animal. But dugongs are a bit like, I guess, a small whale, and they live in the water that I can see from my house, and they eat special sea grasses. But a lot of people are studying the impact on the environment and their habitat, because the seagrasses are going because of pollutants and things like that. So yeah, so lots of different symbols in Indigenous art. So I just acknowledge the country that we're on here and the first Indigenous peoples from this country, and pay my respect to elders past, present and emerging. So today it's a little bit about arts-based research methods, and I said to Pamela, I feel like I'm talking to the converted, because you're all in the arts, but hopefully you learn something new. You might not, so I apologise for that. But I will talk about its origins and features, because really ABR, or arts-based research, only really kind of developed from the early 1990s. Talk about the process. The process is so important. It's often not about the product. So people go, I can't do arts-based research because I'm not an artist. Well, that's not what it's about. It's actually about the process of making and also talking or communicating with others and collaborating. I'm going to share some examples in educational context. So that is called ABER, or arts-based educational research. There are some strengths and weaknesses about this approach, as all research methods. Talk a little bit about ethical considerations and some of the challenges, of course, and then any questions. But it will be very interactive and hopefully you like it. So I'm just going to flip through some slides because I've decided to flip the activities, if that's okay. And I'll come back to this one. Just don't look. Okay. So we're going to start with what we call photo elicitation. So because you're master's or doctoral students, what I'm going to do is give you a bit of a prompt. Now, with arts-based research methods, sometimes you don't have a prompt and you just see what bubbles up. So we can use grounded theory or phenomenological research method as well. But I'm going to give you a prompt, and I want you to what we'll do is actually a quick meditation, and then I'll give you a question for you to answer in your mind. Okay, so if you feel comfortable, you can close your eyes, or you could just look down for this activity. Okay, so it is a Monday afternoon and you would have rushed here from all your activities today, so I'm very grateful that you came today. So before we start, we're just going to really check in with our bodies. So if you like to just take a nice deep breath with me in and out. Do another deep breath in and out. Now, one of the methods we teach in some arts-based research methods and well-being is what we call box breathing. And that's when we breathe in for 4 counts, we hold for 4 counts, we breathe out for 4, and we hold for 4. So let's just regulate your breathing for a little bit first, and then I'll count you. Okay, so breathing in, 1, 2, 3, 4, hold, 2, 3, 4, breathe out, 2, 3, 4, hold, 2, 3, 4, then just nice and regulate your breath. And if you feel like it's too rushed, you just take your own time. So now you just breathe in for 4, hold for 4, breathe out and hold, and just do that twice all the way through. Okay, so you might have had a really busy day. What I want you to do is just feel into your body. Find a place in your body that you feel a bit of tension or tightness, maybe some pain. And focus on that part. It's usually my shoulders because I'm terrible sitting at the computer. And I want you to imagine breathing oxygen into that part of your body. And you might like to still keep doing the box breathing if that helps. Now move to a different part of your body that feels quite relaxed. It could be your calf muscles, it could be your feet, maybe it's your arm, and just feel that sensation. How does it feel different to the tight, tense part of your body? Now, try to take the feeling from your relaxed part into that tight, tense part and see if you can maybe shift it a little bit. Still breathing, imagining breathing that oxygen into your tight muscles or the part that hurts. Good. And we'll just finish off with one nice deep breath in and out. And if it was your shoulders like me, you might want to move them around a little bit and then just slowly open your eyes. Good, thank you. So yeah, as students and teachers and family members, parents, carers, whatever we do in our personal lives can really impact the way that we study. So it's really important to take that time to just really practice that self-care. And so one of the projects we do is with early career teachers in their first to fifth year of teaching to really support that well-being. So we do often check in with our bodies like that way. So what I want you to do is think about your study. What's impacting your writing, research, the way that you have time to study? Just think about that as a prompt. I'm going to pop some images on the floor here. And what I want you to do is come and have a little walk around and just pick up the first one that pops out to you. Don't overthink it. Just whichever one really speaks to you. And if there's two of you who have the same one, well, you can't fight over it. You have to choose a different one. And yeah, just pick that card up and then we're going to have a little discussion about it. Okay, so this method is called photo elicitation, and it's basically points to how powerful an image can be in representing meaning. So almost done. All right, so we might just start with the first row. If you just want to come and do a little bit of a walk around, just pick one card. Don't overthink it, as I said. Just pick the first one up that really jumps out at you. That's it, and sit back down. Whoop, you're right. Lots of bags and things. Okay, the next row, do you want to come and pick your image? I think I had. And remember the prompt. How are you feeling about your study, research, writing at this point in time? No overthinking. I can tell if you're overthinking. Okay. Thank you. Perfect. All right. So remember the question. And remember that sometimes not having a prompt is really quite good. Can you go, just pick a picture. And then you can ask the person, how are you feeling about your study, research / writing? Now, can you just share it with your partner? So you've got 3 there. Just have a little quick chat to each other and maybe explain very quickly why you chose that picture. Right, so I'll give you about five minutes for that. So you've got 1, 2, 1, 2, and then the 3. Yeah, those two. You got the three of you together, yeah. Do you mind if I listen?
I like sea, I like sky, and I hate people. Yeah, I hate people, so I choose first I choose picture that without any human bodies in it. Yeah. Okay. So
Interesting.
then I like the sea. I like the sea picture. I like the opening ground, this feeling. So yeah, so I try to find the picture about the sea the first, and then I realized the ship. I think this is might be a ship, right? The rustic ship.
Yeah.
So
So
this is
wrecked.
very interesting.
Yeah.
And the color between the rusting, red rusting, and the black background,
contrast,
yeah, the
yeah.
contrast. So yeah, that's fine.
So why the sea? What's that drew you in the ocean?
Um, like the opening of the mind. This feels a little bit weird, but like it makes you feel very relaxing, and well, so yeah, I would say it's kind of the relax for me when I see this kind of very opening.
And the contrast here. So you said you don't like people. Are you doing teaching?
Yeah, I'm doing teaching. Yeah, I'm doing teaching. So
Right.
what I do is just to concentrate on the teaching part. So
Uh-huh.
yeah, I will try to do
Not the people
best
part.
on the teaching part. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. All right, what about you?
When I saw this picture, I just feel relaxed. Because now recently it's very busy and about to work and study, so I really want to get out of the city and stay in a quiet place, relax.
Yes, and blue obviously is a colour that can represent serenity or calmness and things. So you could, read a lot into that. What about these bits here? Did that kind of evoke anything at all, or?
I didn't think clear about this course just now, but now
Yeah.
I think, yeah, I didn't. I think this part is and stay with animal is a good choice. You don't need to talk, don't need to think about too much. Yeah,
Yeah.
sometimes.
Yeah. Okay. And how about you?
For me, I really enjoy the sunset moment. I think the orange color covers really attract me.
Yeah. And so you're sort of saying, both of you, that to have some time to relax and actually look after yourself is important. But are you doing that? Are you taking time out to relax and look at sunsets and things? Yeah. Yeah. Perfect. Okay, great. Thank you. Okay, how did you go? Would we have one or two people to share to the whole group? Sorry to interrupt. Do we have one or two people who'd like to share to the whole group with their image? And don't be shy. Would you like to share?
Well, I chose this because I like water. And I thought it was quite Taoist because water seeps below. And interestingly, it fits my area of research because the next page it says, when are you in the flow? And I research on flows.
That was very poignant. Yeah, fantastic. Great, thank you. And one other person? No? That's okay. Another strategy you can use if you're working in pairs, and this is really nice to get people to start to think from another person's perspective, is I could ask you, could you please explain what's your name?
Ronan.
Why Ronan chose that image and what that represented for her. Do you want to try that? Okay.
This picture is a woman is doing yoga on the mountain, and the sun is rising. I think Rona is saying that she is quite busy this year, this moment, but she didn't have so much time, but as she see this picture doing yoga and the sunrise makes she feel relaxed.
We had a lot of this over here as well. Some beautiful pictures that had the ocean or the blue colour, and that's what draw the person in to note that actually there's some times in your life that you do need to take to relax and do some yoga or go for a walk or whatever you need to do in your busy schedules, because that's really important. Perfect, thank you. Okay, I always do this. So let's go back to, and if you just want to pass the cards along, just pop them there. We can collect them later. Okay. All right. So as I said before, thank you. Yeah, anyway, it's fine. Arts-based research methods emerged in the early 1990s. And it's definitely linked with qualitative research methods, but of course I'm sure people have tried to make it a bit more quant. It was influenced by arts in education, critical pedagogy, and ethnography. So if it's something that you're interested in, highly recommend that you read around critical pedagogy and ethnography. And it's another space that I've been working in, trying not to be too critical and negative about the world, is positive pedagogy. So that might be something you're interested in as well. Luckily, I got to meet Tom Barone. He was one of the keynote speakers at a World Alliance for Arts Education Summit that I organised in Australia. And Elliot Eisner had recently passed away, so Tom did a beautiful tribute to Elliot alongside Rita Irwin. And you can see Patricia Levy, I think also Patricia's Canadian, and Sean McNiff. So I think a lot of Canadians did a beautiful work in this space. And it's grounded in the belief that art can generate knowledge in and of itself. So you shouldn't actually really need words. So you could just hold your picture up and not explain anything. It might be enough. But of course, that reflection is also a really big, important part of arts-based research too. Arts-based research uses artistic forms to generate, analyse, and present research. So one way that you could also use photo elicitation is to get someone to pick an image, but then create their own image to expand the question, how do you feel in your study right now? So it could be using drawings as well. It values subjectivity, interpretation, and multiple truths. So I guess that's the difference between this and quant research. You can communicate the findings beyond academic audiences. So one research study that another Canadian Audra Cole did was working with people with Alzheimer's. And in the nursing home, they would have an exhibit at the bottom of the nursing home with just different artefacts that the person really valued. And then they would have their families come and actually look at the exhibit, and it was really beautiful work. It blurs boundaries between the researcher and the participant. So I could also participate in that activity with you by choosing my own image and telling you how I feel about my research and work as well. So there's multiple purposes for arts-based research. You can explore very complex, nuanced human experiences. So a book that I've written with other colleagues on arts-based research methods for resilience and wellbeing, we had many different types of research. Someone who used drama and being clowns, so clowning, if you've heard of that before, dressing up as clowns, working in children's hospitals. A particular researcher got children to draw pictures about how they wanted their hospital room to look like, and then the hospital used those images to actually build a new hospital. And overwhelmingly, the children wanted nature to come from the outside in, so they started to put more plants and artwork in the rooms for them. They also wanted two different spaces, a space where they could be with other people, but a space where they could be on their own when they were chronically ill. So really beautiful work there. You can engage communities in the co-creation of knowledge. So another example would be when I worked with migrant women, predominantly from African background, because we have a lot of migrants from Africa who were learning English, and the women made a blanket together that drew on some of the beautiful picture books that we were using with them, with their children as well. It gives voice to marginalised and underrepresented perspectives, fosters empathy, reflection and dialogue. I think the reflection part of it is actually very important, but not always. You don't have to do it always. So being art students, you can use visual arts, so painting, drawing, photography, sculpture. One of my doctoral students got very young children who could not write yet to draw pictures and then talk. So draw and talk is another arts-based research method that you can use. Performance, so we've used that before with theatre, dance, spoken word or puppetry. Sometimes when we've interviewed people, we then write it up into a verbatim script and perform it. So, and sometimes, infuse a bit of humour into it when people are really talking about serious issues. One project was sexism in the academy, and so we kind of made it a bit slapstick to just make it a bit more humorous, even though it's a very sensitive topic. Music and sound, so composition, soundscape, songwriting. I've used that myself as a musician, where I compose little reflective music pieces and then use that writing in my journal articles. Literary, poetry, narrative storytelling, autoethnography, and even digital media, film, animation, interactive installations. So some of you may have already, used these approaches before. Okay, so we are going to go back to my first one now. Just don't look. Okay, so again, we're going to think about your research, study or writing. What emotions come up for you? So we are going to move to the table. I think it's going to be easier unless, have you got something hard to, if you've got a book or even on your computer, we could hand these out. We're going to do some body mapping. Oh, are you sure? Yeah. Oh, thank you so much. If you prefer to sit at the table, feel free. Yeah, no, there's not a lot of materials. So, and if you've just got a plain pen, that's fine. If you want to do this digitally, feel free. I see someone with an iPad there. If you're a good drawer, you can draw the body and use your iPad. That's a great idea. So there's some pencils for you. You can also come to the table. I think they're comfortable there. Do you want to come up and... Here's some pens. There's pencils here. There's some colour pens. Sorry, use that table. Okay. Good idea. Yeah, that's a great idea. It's you can easily draw that, yeah. I like that idea. Okay. Do you want to turn your chairs around? That might be easier. Yeah. That's it. Told you I'd get you up and moving. If there's not enough colours, that's fine. You can do this with just one colour. That's not a problem. It's nicer with different colours. So you're going to create a body aura map. Sometimes it's just called body mapping. You can do this with large canvases where you lie down on the ground and you get someone to trace around your body, and you can have all different shapes if you want to. We've done that before, but this is just an easy way. And I've used this with students in the classroom as well. So a body aura map. So what you're going to do is just think about, you know, when we checked in with our body before, where are the tight, tense parts? What's relaxed? How are you feeling in your body? And just using the colours. So you can put words on your body if you want. You can draw outside the body. Just thinking about, just picking up any colour and just doing any, you can do squiggles, you can colour it in, it's completely up to you. So thinking about, again, that question that we had before, what emotions come up for you when you think about your study, research or writing? So off you go. And you can talk while you're doing it too. You don't have to be quiet. Any colour, that's fine. You can just choose one colour, two, multiple colours. Hopefully there's enough to share. Great. And I'll probably give you, yeah, about 5 minutes. Do you guys want to do it as well? Or? Oh, there's spares. You got one? Oh, this is looking great. Beautiful. Lovely. I love the digital idea. That's fantastic. So I'll give you about 5 minutes. So you don't have to colour all the space. It's completely up to you. And again, it's more about the process. So not overthinking that question, just being in flow. That's very interesting, yeah. Is it, is it Csikszentmihalyi? Yeah. Oh. And if you think you're finished, just stop. You don't have to keep adding if it doesn't feel right. And once you have finished, just sit and look at your image and try to think, what is it telling you? Then you'll find, you know, some students will finish really fast and others will want to keep going for another hour. So that's when you have like another activity up your sleeve. Yeah. Thank you. Interesting. That's something I didn't mention at the beginning. So I'm not a trained art therapist, but I do work with psychotherapists on projects. So I think it's important to have a warning and a caveat to say, you know, if certain emotions come up for you and you start to feel upset, which, you know, activities like this can happen, then make sure you seek the right support. And we talk about the anxiety hierarchy with our students. So if it's something that you think, you know, is easily dealt with just by going for a walk or going to get some chocolate or something, that's the bottom of a hierarchy. In the middle, it's where you might need to talk to a friend or a colleague just around something that's troubling you. And at the top of the triangle is the last tier of a hierarchy, anxiety hierarchy, and that's where you probably need to seek professional help. And when we work with teachers, that's the kind of feeling you might have, say, on a Sunday night and you're really having, you're dreading to going to work the next day. And that's where, we refer people to talking to a counsellor or something like that. And sometimes, when you do this activity, you don't know what kind of health issues people have, so that might really come out in their drawings as well. But I don't try to interpret people's work. It's really up to you to look at it now and go, what is that telling me? What is your drawing telling you? Just think about it. So I'm going to show you some of my examples because I often don't ask people to share this in case there are very sensitive issues that come up, but I'm fine to share mine. And we'll go back to, so here's two I did at different times. So have a look. So I remember doing this one and then looking, okay, things aren't that great. So I had a terrible migraine, headache, and you can see like the energy sort of outside my headspace. And in the arms, it was almost like barbed wire. And I do have a reflection where I sort of said sometimes I feel a bit disconnected from my body because there's so much happening. It's always in my head. Like as academics, we're always up here, but we don't often connect in with our bodies. And my voice is always something that I feel like is a little bit trapped. So I don't know if you know about chakras. Sometimes I talk about that depending on what context I'm in. But that's the blue one, and sometimes I feel like I don't have a voice in my work or in my family and that sort of thing. So that really told me a lot, that body map. And this one was a little bit later, and I felt really smoothed and relaxed. I like to do a lot of bushwalking in Australia, even though we have super big snakes and spiders, so it's a little bit scary. But when I was in America, we were bushwalking, and my friend said, if you see a moose or a bear, just run up a tree, and that scared me more than the snakes and spiders. But so green and trees are really important to me, and so this time, I actually felt a lot more relaxed. But you can see I still have that. I didn't really think about what I was doing, but I still have that kind of, blockage where I'd feel like my voice isn't heard. So for me, I've got to find ways to feel stronger about that. And then this time I actually put some words. So I've got aging gracefully, appreciation, all the pretty pictures, and head start. So yeah, that one sort of told me a little bit more about myself. And it changes from day to day. If you do one of these each week, it would be quite different. So my daughter is an art therapist. So she's an Indigenous artist and has studied creative art therapies. And so she's used these digitally, and I love the work that you're doing down here on your iPad. It's amazing. And she works with community organisations who are very marginalised and vulnerable, mainly immigrant people, and has done exhibitions around this work as well. So I've never had her sort of interpret these, but this is just some of her work as well. Yeah. So would anyone feel safe enough to share their body map? You're all very quiet. Anyone? Or would you prefer to share how you felt about the process? Like, did you think it revealed something that you weren't expecting, or? Okay, so how about we just get you to talk to your elbow buddies about the process? Let's do that because, yeah, you're a bit shy. I always have to try and get my students to speak up too, so don't worry. So have a quick little chat about what you thought about the process. If you want to share what you found on it, that's fine, but if not, that's also okay. All right, so I'll give you 2 minutes to do that. And did you want to come up and... That's amazing. Yeah, you see, yours are like my daughter's, the digital... Yeah, fantastic. Remember, there's no right or wrong. And I'll just check the time.
So is it something what is it?
The color space sort of red.
The root chakra is red. Yeah. Amazing. Oh, beautiful. And I'm just going to pop up here. Oh. Maybe just think about the colours you've used. Does it represent any of those emotions? It may not. But if you're wondering why you chose a particular colour, that might help you. It doesn't have to, because of course red can also mean love. So, yeah. And I thought this was really interesting. Do you have any perspective on why your shape's on the outside?
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you want to share or not
A
really?
little bit.
Yeah.
I can share my thoughts. So it is because of when I thought about my research, I always want to combine everything. Even it seems really simple, but I think maybe I can find some interesting on it. So I think maybe I can combine them together to generate a new idea. But actually, with so many things in my mind, I don't know how to do that in the end. So sometimes it can be these things can be seen as new ideas for me. Sometimes it can be seen as that can hinder me. Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah. I think that's so interesting. And then maybe when you come up with a solution, these shapes become part of who you are. Because I feel like, they're on the outside and you might feel a bit, I love this word, discombobulated. But yeah, great. Thank you. Interesting. Do you need more time? A bit more time? Yeah. Nice. I love this.
Thank
I mean, it's
you.
not about the product,
Yeah.
but it says a lot, I think. And do you think you've been able to interpret it?
I think so.
Yeah.
It's kind of narrowed it down. It's a lot of last or persisting physical pain and some fears about physical pain.
Yeah.
It's kind of taking away from the possibility to focus on other things.
Okay, all right. So that's a good, I guess, moment to go, okay, I'll go and help myself and fix that.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, thanks, yeah. Okay, great, thank you. And you can see maybe some sensitive issues or concerns may have arisen. So it's really important to support each other when that happens, or yourself. So that's why the checking in with our bodies at the beginning, that box breathing, if you ever feel overwhelmed, that can really help you just sort of center yourself into feeling better. And of course, you know, the colours don't always have to mean that. It's just one interpretation. So red, of course, can also mean love and care and compassion. So it's just one way to, UBI can analyse it using different models, of course. But I can't speak on behalf of you, so I wouldn't even attempt to interpret these. It's got to come from you and the participants themselves. So I've done this where I've just sat people down and say, please explain your image if you feel comfortable to do so. So not all participants will probably do that. Thank you, that's great. Okay, so we did that. We did that. Okay, so you may look around the table and go, oh, that one's very good. Oh, that one's very simple. It's not about that, right? So it's not the product. It's the process. So as I said, some students may finish very quickly. So you finish very quickly, and that there's nothing right or wrong about that. And some people will take extra particular detail to fill every single space in. So it's important with arts-based research too to provide enough time for people to, you know, do what they need to do. So you might have identified a focus question or just a focus of the study, or as I said, it could just be free, and then you look at the image after and saying, what is that telling me? So it depends on whether you're using grounded theory or interpretive phenomenological analysis, IPA. So arts-based research can be used with different methods like that. You have a bit of an idea about what artistic medium or media you want to use. It could be clay, it could be creating a soundscape, as I said, or music or dance. Sometimes you can engage in the creative process with the participants because that makes them feel a bit more comfortable. So last week I was in Cambodia, and we've been working with teachers at a community school that's very under-resourced. And they asked us, because we've been visiting annually for a little while with some of our pre-service teachers, they asked us to help them teach more creatively with their students. And we sort of felt a bit, well, you know, we're white people coming into your context. You know what you're doing. And actually this time we've noticed that their approaches are very creative and they probably don't really need us, to be honest. But what we did with them, which I'll show you as our final method, was create a collage. And we sat down and created one with them so that we were like, you know, on an equal playing field as basically friends and colleagues. And as they were making the collage, we talk and ask them questions. Well, what does creativity mean to you? And, you know, what sort of helps you teach more creatively? What do you think would you need more of? So it was really nice, and we've got some beautiful work to go with that. So you can interpret it through, I guess, artistic lenses. So you could look at the colours and say, well, it could mean this, it could mean that, or through more of a scholarly approach. And then present it in different art forms, like you might have an exhibition as part of your research project or a performance, or hybrid. So I'll share with you a few more examples. Sorry, if you can turn your chairs around if that's a bit easier. And as I said, I mainly work in education. I'll let you do that first. So you can see some of the students I've worked with doing a body map there. They were in year 6. And these students were really grateful because they said that they don't actually do any drawing in their class, and they haven't had done any drawing for about 4 years, which was quite dumbfounding for me. So ABER can support creativity and critical thinking. It encourages student voice in the inquiry. So with this project here, the students were the ones who kind of said, oh, we'd like to do different things, and so I would plan alongside them. And in the school, there was a big pressure on these students to do very well in our what we call our national literacy and numeracy programs, and they said that that's put a lot of pressure on them because those results help them get into good high schools. But they also appreciated the time to be able to relax and be stress-free. And so different examples are drama-based history research, visual journals in science, or music-inspired social study projects. So here's some of the examples that I've used and written about. So we used photo voice projects that captured community perspectives. So we got the migrant women to take the iPads and take, 5 different images outside that represented their thoughts about learning English. And then they chose one of those images that they then co-researched and co-published with us. So it was all about actually them driving that research. Dance and movement. So I've worked with my colleague and boss, actually, Peter Cook, who's a dance choreographer. And I'll show you some of that work soon, where we reflected on our leadership experience. So he used dance and movement, and I used visual art. And as I said, we've done theatre scripts before, supporting international students. Another project with some Canadian colleagues, we got students to write Insta poetry. So we started our own Instagram site, and they chose or created images and wrote poems and we shared different Insta poets like Rupi Kaur and Atticus, so different examples of Insta poets. And then also various approaches to reflect on working in the academy. So myself and my colleagues often feel really overworked and pressured and under stress. So we used different research methods to publish about those experiences. So the last 2 are those 2 publications there. And now I'll show you some of what they look like. So this one, sorry, wrong one. For some reason the other images aren't coming up. Oh, that's a shame. So, this is the one with the choreography, but the images aren't showing. Sorry about that, but Pamela might be able to share the slides after because there's some images missing. Yeah. So with this one, this was with my colleague reflecting on leadership. So what we decided to do, because we are creative practitioners, was think about the patterns in nature. Can anyone think of what a pattern in nature might be? Forest? Yep, so the pattern would be what? So this one is waves and spirals. So that's the patterns. And this one, the pattern is known as branching. So you've got spots and stripes, tessellations. So we used all those metaphorical patterns in nature. Another one is cracks. And we tried to relate that to our leadership experience. So cracks, you can imagine, would be a time when you're feeling very stressed and overworked and actually overwhelmed. But this one, I just did waves and spirals, and so I used collage. And then I look at it and think, well, when was a time where I felt like things were nice and smooth, or the ocean can get really rough and sort of tumble you around? And so I talk about different instances or situations when I was leading a research group of, that really represented the waves and spirals. And then with branching, one of the things I like to do in my job is mentor early career researchers. And so I feel like sometimes that's like helping them grow, become, leaders in and of themselves. So unfortunately, I can't see the movement. So Peter used dance, and so he had different images that he did digitally and manipulated them. And so he would have his feet on the beach and all the footprints, and then make it into a tessellated image. And it was really, really nice work. So we've just recently published that, so I can share that example. Oh, this one doesn't have the images either. Okay, sorry. So for some reason it's not here. And the other project that we did, I led a writing group. So we had the mandate that we had to improve all our publications and only publish in Q1 articles. So I started a writing group that we met twice a week for 3 hours, online only. And it was mainly early career researchers. And we talked about the writing process. I did workshops on how to write a literature review, how to write up your results. And then for the rest of the writing time, we just have our cameras off and write. And that started at the end of 2018. And up until this date, we've probably published over 100 papers just from that one group. And we decided to write one together. And we used this approach. We did 4 different artifacts over 12 weeks. So every 3 weeks we did photo elicitation. So rather than using these cards, we went and took a photo of what represented, I guess, our challenges as academics. So you can't see on there, but I took one of a tree. And then we decided to write a haiku poem. So that's my poem there. And then artifact 3 is what I've termed a recollage, so a reflective collage. And we all created an image using magazines, which I'll talk to you about soon. And that was really, really good one. And then the last one, we just chose our own way to express ourselves through a final artwork and a reflection. And I did a digital one, which you can't see. And it was also some kind of a collage, and I used photo booth to use different effects and things like that. And so what we did after that was write a paper where we included all of our artworks, and just wrote little reflections around that. So that's published in the Australian Educational Researcher Journal, so I can share that one as well. Sorry you can't see the images. That's a bit... Okay, so I'm not sure if we've got time for this one. It depends what people want to do. We don't have a lot of magazines, but I can explain what it is, yeah. This is something you can do at home, and I regularly do. It's what I've termed recollage, so reflective collage. I have a lot of magazines at home, and I just cut them up and paste. And I've used that with very young children, adolescents, the teachers in Cambodia. And I did a study just on my own, just from when I first started in academia in 2012. And every month I would do one of these, and I wrote a paper about my thoughts and feelings about being an academic. And again, the images aren't there, so that's a shame. I can share those papers anyway, but it revealed a lot to me. I think as an early career academic, you're often given a lot of the administrative jobs and you feel very pressure and you have a lot of teaching. And so in my images, I talk about how I feel like I have like eyes, and I feel like I'm always like, people are always looking at me, judging what I'm doing and everything like that. But then when I got promoted, a lot of that pressure kind of came off, because I thought, oh, I'm really making it, and the colours changed and I felt a lot more smoothed out. So you'll see in my images in the paper how they change over time. But of course, when you get promoted, there's other challenges. They always want you to take on leadership roles and all of those sorts of things. So that was in that paper. Okay, so to finish off, just in terms of the strengths and weaknesses, I guess, with arts-based research methods, it is very accessible. So people who are second language speakers, you know, you can get them to do a lot using these methods. It evokes emotional and sensory engagement. It can encourage deeper reflection and meaning making and multiple interpretations. So that's really good things. Some of these other ones, and we've talked a lot about this today, some people see it as very less rigorous research, even though it's not. But if people are from more traditional research paradigms, they might not understand it as much. The interpretation can be highly subjective. And so, as I said, it's really important as a researcher that you don't make a judgment about what your images or things are saying. You have to let the participants speak on behalf of themselves. Some people think it requires artistic skill, but it doesn't really, does it? Like, you don't really need to be too artistic to do the body mapping. And the dissemination might be resource intensive. So if you do have an exhibition or performance, it's a lot of work. And also a lot of journals only accept quant work. So you have to really pick the journals carefully that you publish in. Ethical considerations, of course, we always have to have informed consent, particularly to share the work. There's a bit around the ownership of the art created. So with the teachers last week in Cambodia, we let them keep their collages and just asked if it was okay for us to take photos. Cultural sensitivity and respect for other artistic traditions, and balancing authenticity with confidentiality. So often when I'm working with children, I get them to give themselves like a superpower or a super name. So they change themselves to like Superman or Spider-Man or something like that. So they have different names in the research that I do. We've done that. So evaluating the quality. So always thinking about the process. It's not the product. But some people do. Does it have aesthetic merit? Is that work artistically compelling? For me, that's probably not really the main concern, but others might think, well, that's not really art. But that's another challenge to think about. Does it convey genuine experience? Does it connect? And does it add insight to the phenomenon that you're exploring? So it really depends on the research that you're doing, whether it's going to add to the quality. Okay, so I hope that you had fun. It does have fun. It does create a bit of fun, but also gets into those deeper levels of meaning making. I think that's really important as researchers. And I think you can build really strong relationships with your participants doing arts-based research as well. So thank you very much for your participation. I really appreciate it. Great. You can keep your body maps. Yeah, sure. Any questions? They're all very shy. If you do want to send me an email, feel free. I think I had it on the end there, did I? Yeah, just feel free to email me anytime. All good.
I'm wondering as well that since as you mentioned that there are also people who question whether this as rigorous, but I'm sure there's a certain kind of rigor, but how do you define rigor in an arts-based research? What does it look like?
Yes, sure. I appreciate that. I think it's around the theorization and also what analytical models you're going to use to talk about the work. I'm very carefully involve my participants, so I often co-publish with them, even if they're teachers or students. I'll always list their names if they want to. Some people don't. So, and I think it's the way that you analyse it. So I often use a semiotic model to analyse mine, but that's not the only way. If you're from arts background, you can use art criticism, or I think that's really important. And you'll see, I'll share some of my publications and you can see the way that I've used that. And I think that makes it very rigorous then, and often, the journals like it and they publish it, so it seems to work. Good question though, thank you. Yeah. I think arts-based researchers are always advocating for the importance of it and why it's just as rigorous as quantitative research too. Yeah. Great. Okay, thank you. Yeah, really nice to meet you. Have some more cookies before you leave. Yeah. All right, thank you.